to everyone. Ki, because lo yochelu, they will not be able lasik, to understand. Behold, machmas b'chinazu, because of this level, nikra, he's called Melech. Because the king is going to be totally elevated over everybody, and he's going to have an awareness of God that that he can't even give over to everybody. That's why he's called the king. Kamo, just like inyan hamalucha, just like the idea of kingship. Shalamata, below, who is a kingship, like even a non-Jewish king. All the people are rak only bechinas bittul. All the people are totally surrendered to him. Hainu, namely, mashu, that which is lamayla mihagbala, above any limitations, seichlu, that which is above the limitations of his mind. Ki, because, right, what's a king? A king is a person you have, right? Let's say the Albert Einstein, big genius, tremendous genius, he knows everything. All of a sudden, comes the king. Oh, he bows down like everybody else. He bows down like everybody else. And there was the story with Rabbi Landau. Rabbi Moshe Landau. This story must be 30 years ago. Moshe Landau. Moshe Landau's a very big, impressive looking, handsome, intelligent looking person. He was the son of Rabbi Peter Landau. He's the rabbi of Bnei Brak. And he has a following. He has people that follow, that people like him. Especially there's a lot of these, sort of, when you call them, simple Jews, older Jews, a lot of them also, they just revere him, the Rebbe. And there was one time when he went to the Rebbe, and some of these Jews also went to the Rebbe. Maybe they even came together with him, right? And when you go to the Rebbe, everybody pushes everybody else. I mean, there's no order whatsoever. Until the Rebbe starts to speak, everybody's trying to get a place, and everybody's this, and especially when the Rebbe finishes speaking, right? Then everybody's going, they're trying to get into line, and there's pushing and everything like that. And so of course they pushed Rabbi Landau also, just like everybody else. Nobody was any different than anybody else. One of the people that were his followers started yelling, "You're pushing the Rav! You're pushing Rabbi Landau!" Rabbi Landau just looked at him. Just you go to the Rebbe, everybody's equal, right? When you go to the Rebbe, everybody's equal, right? Just the way that the Rebbe taught, the knowledge that the Rebbe had, it just made everybody like little, even the biggest Talmidei Chachamim, the greatest people. All of a sudden, the Rebbe could speak like 3 days, 4 days, just on one subject. Just on one subject. To bring from everywhere. There were times when the Rebbe spoke 3 days a week, right, on just one subject, to bring from everything, every midrash, every this. And then when you finished, the figure he was finished, the next day was even more. It was even deeper. And it was a way that was more or less understandable. You could understand, what it was. The Rebbe made it in a way that it would be understandable to everybody. That's what I'm saying. The idea of a king is somebody goes, everybody is just totally knocked out. The wisest person and the most simple person, they're just totally knocked out. They're equal. And the simplest person says, wow, I want to learn Torah. I'm going to learn Torah. And the greatest person says, wow, I want to be humble. I want to go. It makes everybody, brings out the best in everybody. Brings out the best. That's what he says. That's the idea of a king. What's the idea of a king is? Brings out this level of bittul, of a lack of selfishness. Bittul means a lack of selfishness. The kamo, first word in line, the kamo, just like inyan, the whole topic of malucha, kingship, shalamata, below, who is rak, only bechinas bittul, only the level of bittul. Hainu, namely, mashu lamaila, that which is above. Mehagbalat sichlo, that which is above the limitations of his mind. That's what a king is. A king is someone who's above, totally above his mind, totally above understanding. Ki, because the davar, to a thing, shemit yashiv, that is settled, besichlo, in his mind, betov, well, betov tam vadas, in good understanding and knowledge, a thing that you understand well. Ein tzorach al zeh, you don't need on this the pekudas hamelech for the order of a king. What's the thing of a king? A king is to make you do things you don't want to do. That's the king. The king is to make you do things you don't want to do. You don't understand this is right. It goes against your will. That's what a king is for. Shahari, if you understand things, Hari, kam below mitzvoto, even if he doesn't command you. Nachona davar, the thing is right. Mitzad atzmo, on its own. V'tovu beinav, and it's good in his eyes. Ella, but hapakuda, who do you command? Not people that already understand what you have to do. Rak al davar, only on a thing. Shu neged sichlo. A king is there to go against the ideas and understanding of everyone. V'hu pil'ei mimenu, a thing which is wondrous from him. It's outside of him. It's what he said. Doesn't make any sense to him. Doesn't make any sense. The king says you should what? You should do that. That doesn't make any sense. I remember there was one time the Rebbe said, if you want to get all the Jews out of Russia, the way to do it is to make Chabad houses in the world. Not in Russia. You couldn't make a Chabad house in Russia. If you want to get, I think it was in 1988, I think, 88 or 87. The Rebbe said, if you want to get the Jews out of Russia, the way to do it is you have to make Chabad houses all over. What connection does one got to do with the other? They have absolutely no connection. And I did it. I went and I made a Chabad house in a city called Or Yehuda, right over here. I had no talent for it. I had no desire to do it. I had no time to do it. But I did it. It ended up, it was a pretty big success. It became such a big success, I had to give it away to somebody. But for 3 years I had it. What happened? All of a sudden, all the Jews got out of Russia. Gorbachev came and he decided there was going to be whatever it is, a glasnost or whatever he called it, something, perestroika. What is it? I don't even know the word. Something like perestroika. So perestroika. He decided there was going to be a whole new order, and just one day, no more communism. All the gates opened up. All the Jews could go out. They could come back. They couldn't believe that it was something like that. There was a revolution with not anybody got killed. The Russian Revolution was millions, tens of millions of people got killed in the Russian Revolution. To make a revolution, you know what it is here we have now in all these Arab states, they made revolutions. How many people got killed? Who knows? Right? All of Russia, Hundreds of thousands of people. In Russia, you know what Russia is? The tenacity that they held on to communism. How many people were killed in the name of communism? All of a sudden, one day, the whole thing, nothing. It just all fell. And was a connection to one thing and another? A connection, all this guy. A normal person would say, absolutely no connection. On the other hand, you think, but why did it happen? Why did it happen? And the Rebbe said it was going to happen. The Rebbe told Professor Brownover that you should prepare places in Jerusalem. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of people. It's going to be open. The whole borders are going to be open. Communism is going to fall. And Professor Brownover called people up. He tells the story. He called people up, his friends in Russia, and the Rebbe said that it's going to fall. And they said, listen, what the Rebbe says, I believe, but it goes against my mind. Now is worse than ever. He says, now the KGB has been standing in front of my house, right, for the last 4 days. Yesterday they took my wife in for questioning. Right, they brought her back. But he says, if the Lubavitcher Rebbe says it, then I'll believe it. But if you're over here and you see, there's no way logically it's going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Right? And why did the Rebbe say? He said, make Chabad houses all over. The Rebbe didn't say you should go and pray at the Kotel that Russia should fall, or you should make big marches. There was the Rabbi Kahana, he made marches, whatever. It wasn't him that did it. It was the Israeli government that did it. They just did it through him. He didn't even know. They made big marches and protests, and they blew up the Russian embassy, and they did this. The Rebbe said, it only makes things worse. Don't go according to your seichel. Everybody says, oh, Rabbi Kahana was such a brave man. He still, the fact is, he was a brave man, but it was stupid. He did the wrong thing. What was stupid about what he did? He did a very logical thing, make protests. Everybody makes protests. He was stupid because he didn't listen to the Rebbe. Not listening to the Rebbe is stupid. What the Rebbe said was not logical. Why should you listen to a person like that? He says, because that's a king. That's a king. And we see that it happened. There was never in the history of the world such a thing. That an empire, like the communist empire, that was so firm, they had so many, spies. Everybody was a spy, and everybody else. All of a sudden, just the whole thing fell down. Makes no sense. What could the explanation be? Nobody has an explanation. To this day, no one has an explanation. The only explanation is God wanted it to be there, and the Rebbe saw it was going to happen. That you had to do a little something, make Chabad houses, and it ended up, what did we end up with? We ended up with Chabad houses all over the world. And I remember then it was, there were in Israel, there was like 50 Chabad houses. Suddenly there was 300 Chabad houses, 500 Chabad houses, whatever there were. Right? All of a sudden everything just fell down. It fell down. Right? The Rebbe said in the 6-day war, you don't have to worry about anything. Don't leave Israel. Everybody was wanting to leave, get out of here. They're going to bomb us. Don't leave. It's above understanding. It makes no sense whatsoever. Right? It's against human understanding. Leave Israel and wait, see what happens. If Israel wins, I'll come back. If not, he said, no, don't leave. What's the sense in that? What's the sense of staying here? I'm not a soldier. I'm not going to do anything. Let's get out of here. Right? We're surrounded by enemies, all sides. Don't leave. Don't leave, people. And there were a lot of people that didn't leave because of that. Says, who pilim that whole thing of the king is, please don't make noise. Sha'af al pikein, nevertheless. The king tells people to do things that don't make any sense. It's not only that they don't make any sense, they're against your sense. Af al pikein, nevertheless. Because of the decree of the king, v'gazera mukhrach, you are necessary, you must kayem to do otoet. Umavatal ratzono, and you negate your will, the ratzon amelech, to the will of the king. Why? Ki eino yodea lev hamelech. No one knows the heart of a king. The tamo akamus, and its inner hidden logic. Tamo means the logic, akamus, which is hidden. Harizeh, behold, this is bechinas bittul. This is a negation. Lagabi, in regarding to Lamaila mina chachma, above his own chachma. This is like the level of King David. And that's one reason that Chabad was always against France. That was the big battle. Chabad versus France, from the Alter Rebbe until the Rebbe. The Rebbe said, in fact, that's one of the signs of Mashiach is here, is that France, there's the Bali Tshuva is coming from France. One of the big things of Napoleon was going against the idea of a king. Right? Napoleon, in France, there was developed these ideas about logic. Voltaire and Rousseau and these people, the supremacy of the human mind, of logic. There is no God, there's nothing above your understanding. The only problem is we just don't understand enough. You have to be a philosopher. A person has to be a philosopher. And also, then if you're a philosopher, then you can justify having a good time. You can do pretty much anything you want to. And that's a human being. That's what France said. No kings. It's true that in those days the kings were evil people. They were bad people. But they were nowhere near as evil as Napoleon. This I just read last night that in the time of the Tsar, the whole time the Tsar was ruling, which was, I don't know, if you want the Tsar, no, I'm talking maybe the last Tsar. The last Tsar was ruling 30 years. There was officially, I mean, these are the official numbers. There was officially like 1,500 people killed, murdered by the government, right, in like 30-year period. Which that's a lot of people.
1,500?
1,500, something like that. People that were killed officially by the government just for government crimes. How many people are killed in America for government crimes? One person every 20 years. One for government, officially they were tried and they were killed for government crimes at 1,500. In the 2 years of Stalin, there was called the Great Purge. Officially, there was tried and killed 1,500,000 people. In other words, 1,000 people a day were killed. So in 2 days, there was killed more people by the free communists who love everybody and everyone's equality and these wonderful sayings than the Tsar, whose whole thing was belief in the Tsar and cruelty and severity and everything. The people were poorer under communism than they were under the Tsar. So we see that a king has certain advantages to it, even a bad king. Even a bad king is better than a good, right, free society. How many people were killed by Napoleon? Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people were killed. He made wars. How many French people were killed? Right, it says that he went into Russia. I don't remember exactly the names, but he went into Russia. He had an army of something like 1 million men. He went into Russia. and he came back with 50,000 men. And you have to look up the numbers exactly, but it's some ridiculous number. How many people he killed? And that's only his people. How many of the enemy did he kill? Well, he killed people, and the world was better because of him. There's a certain advantage to having a king, but it's true. A bad king is bad, no doubt about it. Right? Bad king. It says power corrupts. Ultimate power corrupts ultimately. But Mashiach is going to be the person who's going to have ultimate power, and he's only going to benefit the world. That's the idea of Mashiach. That's Judaism. What can you do? That's Judaism. Judaism says that you have to do these commandments, and that you have to do these things, you have to keep Shabbos, and also there is the idea of Mashiach. Mashiach is going to be the ultimate king, that he's going to bring people to a level which is higher than their own understanding. Harizeh, behold. Harizeh, this is the last two words in line. Harizeh, bechin is the level of bittul. This is the level of negation, surrender, lagabi to lamayla miyachachma shalo, what's above your own wisdom. Sha'af al pi, that even though, you see where we are? You have the place? Keep it. Even though, she'eno mityashev b'seichlo, even though that it doesn't settle in his mind, shomea legazeres hamelech, he follows the gezer of the king, she'etzlo, that by him, nachonu, it is proper. That by the king, it's proper, v'yesh lo tuv tam, and it's understandable. So, if so, the idea of a king is that he makes you do, speak, think above your own understanding, raises you up. Al derech says similarly, yuv can be understood. Gam kain also in the Torah. Similar in the Torah. In the Torah, sheyesh bo, there are in the Torah mitzvahs, laws, v'chukim, and statutes. There are mitzvahs and chukim. A lot of times it's divided up into eidos, mishpatim, and chukim. The mitzvahs, the other commandments, they are hamusagim, understandable. Like tzitzis and tefillin. Tzitzis and tefillin, even though they're religious, and a normal person doesn't do it. Normal person wouldn't put on tzitzis for no reason, just do it. But when we're commanded from God, so tzitzis, sort of you can understand that there's sort of a logic to tzitzis. What's the logic to tzitzis? It's the uniform of a soldier of God. You're covered with the light of God. The strands are like how blessings come down from the oneness of God. A little bit you can understand, right? A uniform. A soldier puts on a uniform. It gives him an identity. It gives him a unity. He feels a certain, how do you say, faith in the country. What is it? Loyalty. Oh, loyalty. A loyalty to the uniform, to this. The same thing. You put on tzitzis, you feel a loyalty to God. You feel a loyalty. What's tefillin? Tefillin is you put one on your head, a box on your head. The boxes have words of God in them. It means that the words of God should be on your mind and on your heart, your energy, your power. That you should do first, put on your hand first, and then you think later. Right? Do the commandments first, and then you'll understand them later. Nasev and Nishma. There's a lot of logical things about tefillin, a little bit. You put them on, and it's a sign that you're devoted to God. That's the commandments, and of course the commandments not to kill, not to steal. It's also logical. It makes sense. Not killing and not stealing, those are what's called mishpatim. Even without the Torah, you would come to them. Even without the Torah, even people, Eskimos or somebody that never heard of the Torah, they don't kill, they don't steal. They have their laws just to keep the society going. Or maybe it's not to keep the society. Maybe they sense the 7 Noahide commandments. They can sense it deeply inside of themselves, right? They sense there's people, and therefore they say, you shouldn't kill, you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't take somebody else's wife, homosexuality, you shouldn't worship any other gods, who knows what. But then there are commandments that are what called chukim. And these, it says, mitzvahs, the mitzvahs, musagim, they are understandable, like tzitzis and tefillin. And the chukim, they are como paraduma, they are like the red cow, shatnez, tzemer upishtin, wool and flax and linen, don't wear a garment that has wool and linen together. Why not? Why not? I don't know. Just don't do it. Because, what's wrong with you, man? I mean, wool and flax, it's obvious why not. It says, Kol chad, each one, lechud, alone, shari is okay. A garment of wool, no problem. Garment of linen, great. Wool and linen, not wool and linen. Why? What's the problem? I don't understand what's the problem. It says, v'kol echad, v'kein, and also, kol echad mehem, and also each one of them, im meshi, with silk. You can put wool and silk together, wool and polyester together, linen and silk, linen and polyester, rak, tzemer, and pishtim. Only wool and linen, lo telbash, you can't put it on. Why? Doesn't make any sense. Maybe Kabbalistically, could be, maybe. But still, there's a Kain and Hevel, there's all these different, but still, really, essentially, what's the big deal over here? Why? You could make up the same reasons Kabbalistically with wool and silk also. You could make something up. Well, with wool and polyester. Why not? There are certain commandments that make absolutely no sense. Like, we can't eat pork. Why can't you eat pork? What is wrong with pork? Right? It has trichinosis. Now there's no pork with trichinosis. Come on, what's wrong with you? Nobody gets trichinosis from pork. They treat it. And then when they ultra waves or whatever they do, there's no such thing anymore. If somebody would get trichinosis from pork, they would close the whole store. Then they would close the whole thing. There's no such thing anymore. So it's okay to eat? No, can't eat it. Why not? Why can't you eat it? You don't even know what you're eating. You have no idea. If they would tell you that this is kosher steak or kosher chicken or something like that, you would eat it. So I never eat a chicken like this. You would eat it. What's the problem? How can you know? Shabbos, even Shabbos, right? You know which day is Shabbos. You don't know which day is Shabbos. You wake up. You don't know which day it is, right? You can look in the sky, you can know what day it is. You don't know what day it is. How can you know what? These things are above understanding. They make no sense. In some ways, these are the genuine commandments. Why? Because they show ungodliness. The amazing thing is that we do understand anything. If the commandments really come from God, so then it's an amazing thing that we can understand any of the commandments at all. Right? It should that God could have commandments. Okay, at exactly 3 o'clock, everybody put your right finger, in your left ear for 1 minute. Do it. Right? Why? That's the command. Oh, I see you're a Jew. Yes, I'm an Orthodox Jew. I put it there for 3 minutes. I'm Reformed. Only 1 minute. Right? Yeah, yelling and screaming, 1 minute, 3 minutes, right? Yelling at each other, fights, battles, right? All the commandments should be like that. Completely not understandable. No sense with it. It comes from God. God, you're trying to ask questions on God. The amazing thing is God makes commandments that are understandable, that we can understand them. If so, Hine Tamia Torah says the reasons, the true reasons of the Torah. Okay, what? That's the idea. Also, we see in the Torah itself that there are things that are not understandable. So is going to be Mashiach. Mashiach is going to make everything understandable on a much higher level of understanding than we ever had before. And we're going to say, "Oh, now I understand." Mashiach is going to say, "Listen, you don't understand anything. Listen to this." Even a higher level. Oh, now I understand. And that's why we're going to have to have a Mashiach is going to have to be a king to raise us up to levels which are above our understanding, as we will continue, God willing, tomorrow. Come tomorrow.